I am so excited that you are here tonight. This is Mama Red saying hi, howdy, um, all those wonderful things. I wish I knew how to say hi in many, many languages, which I don't. But I do want to say thank you for being here for the what I'm calling the inaugural edition, or the first time we're cooking up kitchen table chats. Susan is having some interesting challenges, and we will leave the word at that with her internet. So she will be as soon as we can get her cleared. And I am coming to you from, as I lovingly say, the wilds of Indiana, and I'm really, really grateful that you're here. Now, just so that you know, this is not my first rodeo when it comes to technology. I've been in technology since 1983, and it's not my first teleseminar. I've been doing those for about 7 years. However, I am working with a new platform called Join Me, and I'm not going to pretend to be the be-all and end-all expert in it, so if I make a mistake, I hope you'll have empathy for me, because we all make them, and if things go wacko, I hope you'll have empathy on that one too, and we will get moving forward, because one of the things that I really want you to do is come away with something that will help you in your business, in your life, because there's a lot of questions that we need to ask, whether it's for our lives, our businesses, whether we're a brand new business that's thinking of starting up now, whether we have been in business for eons. There's a real core set of questions that I think are really important, and one of those is why. And we'll be talking a little bit why that's so important, but that's what we're going to be serving up tonight on our dinner plate, is what's why got to do with it. Now, before we start having some dinner or a snack or whatever time it is in your neck of the world, you should have received a link to get some what I call cookie notes, and that's a place for you to take notes about what's going on, anything you think of, any questions you may have. Make sure you can hear, and if you are having any problems right now, since I do have it muted, you should have a little thing that looks like a speech bubble on the control panel, and that is the chat window. So if you have a problem, you have a question, you can click that. We've already muted our mics, which we didn't plan on doing until a little later, but that's okay. And if you have questions, comments, you're having a problem, please stick it right in there in the chat window, and we will make sure that that's handled. Now, I want to make sure that you're in the right place, because there's nothing worse than you wasting your time on something that doesn't serve you, and that's just not the way I like to roll. So you're in the right place if you're new to running a business and you're not sure where to start. You're a seasoned business person, and you either want to grow the business you're in, or you're just not sure that where you are now is where you want to be, and you're looking at how you make the change. And the first question that I always do with clients is we get into the why. Another reason you're in the right place is if you've got a big vision and mission for the world, and that could be for your world, the backyard, that could be for the world all the way around. It doesn't have to mean that it's so huge that you can't handle it. Now, you also may be wondering if you want to have a business at all, and that's okay, because part of going through the why questioning helps you figure out whether that's what you want to be. And, if you don't, not a thing wrong with that. And finally, you're in the right place if you've got a lot of questions, because answering questions is something I like to take care of. That's one of my passions. And I've been a massive question asker my whole life, so it's really awesome to be able to have an excuse, if you will, to ask lots of questions and use that as part of my business. Now, you're seeing me in my big old hat that you may have seen if you found me on social media of any sort. I use the same picture. I'm the executive business chef of Taming the Beasties. Susan Davis, who is our lovely guest chef and is having a challenge right now with her connections, is the founding champion of the co-creation community. I was blessed to meet Susan, like I've met so many people and so many of you on this call, through one of the social media connections that we've had. And Susan and I absolutely hit it off. I think our first discussion was about 7 hours long, and we had a blast, and we found out we have so many things in common. And I call Susan the co-creation queen, because if there is one person I have ever met that does teamwork, and connecting people better. I haven't met them, and Susan is an absolute rock star at it. As for me, I've been in business since 1988, and as I lovingly say, if there's something that can be done wrong, I've probably done it a good 10, 12 times. I teach from where I've made mistakes. I teach from what I wished I would have done differently if I could have a magic wand and a do-over. And when I started my business the first time in 1988, it's been through several iterations. I had no idea how to run a business, do a proposal, charge for things, and frankly had no idea what I was going to do. My son had been seriously ill. He needed full-time care, and I am too antsy-pantsy to not work, and so that's how I started my first business. And it has evolved over the years in a variety of things, and it's in the process of being solidified and rebranded with Susan's help, with her focus, with her ability to see things that I don't, into the Tame the Beasties line. And that is one of the things I dearly love to do, is help people tame the beasties. I also like to have fun at the same time, so that's why I couldn't call it a standard name. And the beasties are those things like your mindset, for example, that sits there and yabbers at you, you can't do this, who do you think you are? I call that a mindset beastie. And the business beastie are all those things that chomp at you and eat at your time and tell you what you can't do and that you have to do 20 more things. And they're the beasties that come from what I call the gurus who think they know it all and say you have to do audio or you have to do video and you have to do this. And I do not believe that. One of the reasons I use a cooking analogy, and you'll see me use it all the time, is because I believe in recipes where you may have a recipe for chili, but you like more of one ingredient and less of another. So I don't do blueprints, I do recipes. But the beasties are those things that keep you from doing what you want to do. And the ones I tend to specialize in are the content beastie. You know how we need all that content all over the place these days, whether it's for a forum, whether it's for a specific social media site, whether it's for your own personal blog, whether it's for a program you're creating, all that's content. And so one of the things I specialize in is how to feed the content beastie without killing yourself. The other one is the back end, all those processes and procedures and things like that you're sitting there trying to do all that crap and you really want to be out doing something, whether you're teaching English as a second language, whether you're doing systems, whether you're calling on clients, whether you're co-creating, whether you're like Susan, who is doing all these wonderful things with crowdfunding and nonprofits. Those are all those things that are the beasties that can keep you from doing what you love to do most. And we all have them. We all just have different versions of the things we like to do and don't like to do. And how you tame them is by asking the right questions. I live, eat, and breathe the internet and computers. And I see over and over and over the people who say, well, should I use Infusionsoft or should I use this? Should I use Kajabi or should I use that? Should I, what do you use for doing webinars? All of which are fair questions, totally fair, and I don't mean to say that they're not. But what I find is I constantly give the answer, it depends. And the reason it depends is one of the questions we're going to tackle tonight, which is your why. There is no one answer. And if you come to work with me as a client, every one of my clients will tell you, I ask a ton of questions. And every time we do something, I ask a ton more because those questions are what are going to make sure that this solution fits you, your tastes, who you want to serve, what you want to do, what you want to hand off to somebody else that's uber technical, or maybe you're the tech person and you know how to do the technology and you want to do it. On the other hand, I know a lot of technical people who are saying, enough already. I want to be with human beings. And so finding all that out is the way you can truly and honestly save tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And believe me, I've spent them. And the way you get your answers to these will save you money in a time fashion so you can get to what you want to do more quickly. It'll save it in terms of outlay, just pure paying money out the door. And as I love to say, it'll save you some hair pulling or maybe some trips to the hairdresser to get a weave or a wig or something else. Now, I like to have fun with things, and so I call what I do planning a business party. And there are 3 key steps. If you think about putting on an event, a party, having a tailgate party, having people over for your country's version of Independence Day or a specific holiday that you celebrate, no event, no party, no dinner, no microwave dinner goes without these 3 steps. How complex they are kind of varies on how complicated and fancy-smancy your meal is getting. Step 1 is plan. You got to know why you're holding this thingy, this shindig, which is where we go tonight. You need to know who you're going to invite. That's why I call you the guests of my events, because you are my guests. You need to know what tools you're going to have. I mean, I don't know about you, but Thanksgiving is big in the United States, and I hesitate to admit the times I've forgotten to get rolls when I knew a family member really loved them or something. So we've all done it. So when you come at it from one, that it's a business party, it makes it a hell of a lot more fun than saying, oh, I've got to plan my business, and I guess I better get out my pickle and stick it in my ear and get my flow diagrams going. I use all those, but I want us to have fun while we're doing it. But the more you spend in the planning stages, the better. And yet there's that balance. If you don't ever cook those meals and do things, you're never going to be able to serve. So the plan is a really important stage, and that's all the same questions that you would ask if you were going to have some guests over for dinner are the same questions you want to ask for your biz party. And you ask them over and over because I'm hoping that all of you eat more than one meal a year. Because if you do, you have to ask the same questions multiple times. So plan on asking them multiple times. The second one is you need to prep things. You may need to get some tools or some ingredients, and it's the same way for business. And my dream is that when you go to serve, you're doing the things, you're enjoying being with your guests because you're doing the things that you truly love. I've held events where I didn't plan well enough and I barely sat down to eat the dinner, so I never even got to see my guests, and I sure hope that's not going to be you. Now, what you're going to need to do tonight, and for any of the other questions that are part of what I call Ask the Right Questions cookbook, which is part of what's coming down the pike, both in audio and book form, and in a course, is you're going to need something to write with. I really don't have a problem if you want to use computer, but you don't need it. And you're going to need something to write on. And one of my favorite things is a pen and index cards, because then you can shuffle them and put things down and rearrange and organize. Now, why the why? We talked a little bit about it earlier. We're going to go back to that now. Why is knowing your why important? How can it save you time and money and hair pulling and trips to the hairdresser that you didn't plan on? Now, I like to go, but I don't want to have to go. Think about it. If you're going to have a meal with somebody, why are you having it? It may be because it's family and it's required. Those are some of the most pain-in-the-butt meals ever. It may be because it's the right time of year, or it's a holiday, or it may be, and this is what I hope for you, that it's because it's what you want to do. So here's the question for you. There are levels of why. Why do you want to have a business? And that counts for whether you're new, whether you're wanting to change something, whether you're changing industries, whether you're facing professional ennui and you just don't even want to get out of bed. Why is what will pull you up and out, but only if it is big enough. And why is a continual investigation, if you will. It's not just a, one time, oh, why? Because I want to save the world and I want everybody to be happy. Great, grand, oh my God, I'm cheering for you because that's important. truly is. But why do you get out of bed? What is it that draws you up and out? What is it that makes you kind of get all those tinglies when you do things and feel like you're on the right track? And how many times have you forgotten to listen to them? How many times have you neglected to check on that? Now, there are other terms for the why, and I call them the big whys and the little whys. And a lot of us, especially people that tend to be in my world, have what I call a big-ass why. I mean, this is one of those, I want to see the world be freed of bullying. I want to see the whole world be quadlingual. I want to see the whole world know how to knit baby booties. Whatever it may be, it's a very big-ass why. And that's great. But you also need to have some of the other ones that feel doable, that you can get up and say, yeah, I can do something towards that today. And it took me almost 56 years to get to my big why. And when I did, and to this moment, every time I think about it, my eyes tear up, and they're doing it right now. You can't see me, but they are. And the reason is because when I look back through my life, all the things I've always loved to do, always been exceptionally good at, and been turned to for are what are in that big why. If you want to find that really, really big why, that's something that I recommend you partner with somebody on, because I have found in my experience that it's not something that you necessarily see in yourself, because it is within you. It is like the fish not realizing it's in water. It has been there its whole life, so it doesn't realize there's anything called land or air. It's ubiquitous. It's there. So this is definitely one of those that I recommend getting facilitation with. It's really, there's plenty of good books. And in one of them that I wanted to share with you, if you're the type that likes to do things by book, is called True Purpose by an author named Tim Kelly, which is Tim for his first name, and Kelly is Kelley. That book, that's that big why too. What is your purpose? What are you here for? What is it you're uniquely suited to do? And what I believe is that all the ingredients of your life, the fall down on your butts, the divorces, the sadnesses, the losses, the joys, all of those are ingredients in the recipe called you that makes you uniquely qualified to serve specific people who may very well be hanging from their fingernails waiting for what you can do. And one of the biggest things I see happen, I did it myself, still do, blush, but I don't see the things I do so easily because I do them so easily. And they are part and parcel of your why. I am all about voices heard and messages shared and the world transformed. And that is why I've been told my whole life to shut up. You talk too much. Because I needed to know what it was like to have that shut down so that I would understand how to help you with your voice. And I happen to do that through business and technology, which seemed kind of weird to me. I thought you had to be a life coach or, something like that. But I do mine through the vehicle of business. And in doing that through the vehicle of business, I help people find their voice and get their messages into the world, which is why I will absolutely do Don Quixote battle with technology if it will mean that your voice can be heard and your message shared. What is it that draws you up and out? What pisses you off when you see it? Great breadcrumb to know what your why is. What makes you so mad when it happens that you just want to tear things limb from limb because you just can't stand that that's being done? Those are some of the things that you can use to help you find your big why. Now, why does knowing that save you money or time or hair pulling or buckets and buckets of tissues while you cry your eyes out because you don't know what's up. And the reason is because it gives you direction. It helps you know, should I take this class? Should I sign up for that? Should I go on this trip? I was working with a client the other day, and it was fascinating because she was talking through something that she was thinking of doing. And I asked her questions. I'm like, well, what is your business about? And who are you serving? And will you meet them? And when we were done, she said, oh, my God, you just saved me an entire day of lost time and the fees that it would have cost me to go to the event. And that's how you can save the time, the money, the frustration, the hair pulling, and the missteps. Now, something I want you to know is even if you feel like it's a misstep, you've gone awry, you haven't quite made it there, I promise you that that ingredient can be used to help you find that next step. You don't have to find your big, huge why all in one step. It's okay. Now, the thing I want you to also know is when the right time to ask why is. And the way I got it wired, it's 24/7. Okay, you can sleep. I'll give you that one. You can sleep. Ideally, you ask the why about business when you're getting started, when you're thinking about it. I have a client that is taking an entire year to make sure that he is financially stable for his family, but we're moving him out of the 9 to 5 very methodically. Not everybody's meant for that. I tend to make big leaps and they go, oh, crap, look what I stepped in. And then I have to step out of it. He's very methodical. But we ask why. What is it he wants? What's underneath the program he's creating? So ideally, you ask why when you're starting your business, and you use that to guide you beautifully down this path. And if you didn't do that, if you're already down the path, or you're looking, oh, my God, I want to be on another path because this one's driving me to drink, that's the right time to ask why again. And it's one of those digging questions, as I call them, in that you ask why and then you ask why again. Susan can't speak up on this one, so I'm going to say what she said yesterday when I shared how I started my first business. She said, well, why did you start it? I said, well, my son was really, really sick, and I stayed home with him. She goes, well, why did you want to stay home with him? And then why did you start a business? And then, she just kept digging. And that's what it is. It's not a one-time thing. And why is so important as a connection to your biz guests, those people that really, really want what you have. And I spent way too many years thinking that everybody was my client. I absolutely, categorically, with my stubborn Irish self, refused to exclude anyone as a potential client, as a potential business guest. Not my smartest choice. And the reason is, first of all, I can't really, even though I'd like to think I can't, serve 7 billion people, and neither can you. And secondly, you have preferences. You have those people that you want to work with that just trip your triggers and make your bells go off. Whee! And those are the ones you need to work with, and you need to allow the ones that don't have that with you to go work with somebody that does. Your why is part of what will connect you to that ideal guest at your table. So that's why it's another essential one for you to ask. And this is the first in the series of questions. That why will help you connect. I think about some of the talks that Susan and I have had. And if I hadn't come to some of the things that I now know, I don't think we would have connected. I don't think we would have been tapped into what's there and understanding. And Susan has over 40 years, I think it's 45, in the world of entrepreneurism And she did Good and Green Radio. She's a phenomenal show host. I wish she was able to speak up.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Yay! You're back.
I've been listening.
Yeah, you're still pretty far away, darling.
Oh, well, I can't get any closer.
That's okay. You know what? It's okay. It will all be perfect. So one of the things that helps you is when you get to that why, you know whether you want to do A or B. You want to work with a Susan or John or Mary or a Bob or a whatever. You know whether you want to travel around the world. And you can get there much more directly. I have a son who's 27, dearly loves England and Europe, especially Italy. And I keep saying, okay, then go. But he's doing the, oh my God, horribly practical thing, you know? He will get there someday. I just wish, as a mom, it could be more direct. And that's what I wish for you, too. What do you need in order to find your why? Do you need permission to find it? That it is okay, maybe for the first time in your life, because I know I have some listeners like that. They are not used to choosing exactly what they want. And it's time. And it's your time. And it's your turn. So if what you need is a permission slip, I will write it for you. Remember those old slips? At least here in America, we have the permission slips. You know, if you missed school, you had a note from your mom. I'll be happy to write you one with joy. What you also need is to take some time for you and to gather your ingredients in your cart. You may want to think of some of the experiences that you've had, the things you liked, the things you didn't like, what makes your heart sing and what makes you furious. Those are the kinds of things that you will need to work on for finding your why. Now, in the little, I'll call it the cooking notes because that's what I called it when I created it. In your cooking notes are some next doable steps for you. And the first one is to get kick-ass clarity on your why. Now, that may be even more clear tomorrow, but it's going to be as kick-ass clear as you can get it today. And don't worry if it changes and shifts. That's okay. That's part of adding ingredients. And I know everybody on this call is over 21, and I know there are foods at 6 that we probably didn't like, and there's foods that at 40 and 50 we do. It will change. The spices will change. You will like a different flavor. You may have things now that you enjoy that you didn't then, and that's okay. And I always like to break things down into doable steps so that you don't feel so overwhelmed. And ideally, we break these steps down small enough that you could complete the first step in 24 hours or less. And what I invite you to do is when you figure out that step, write me an email and tell me what it is. Also, I would love it if you would share with others this story of why is so important and to come back to visit when we do another one of our kitchen table chats. I have a whole series of questions that we're going to start with, working on a book about ask the right questions, save time, money, and hair pulling, and an actual led program, group program. And there will be one for sure. I don't know whether, we'll do it live again or not. But the first one's going to be held live. And I would love to have people who would like to give me feedback and would also like to really make a kick-ass difference. So what would your next doable step be? Think about it. Write it down. And feel free to send me an email and let me know what it is. Now, you can get hold of either Susan or I. Probably our websites is the easiest one to give you out there. And we have all sorts of detailed Facebook, Google+, Pinterest, etc. in that cooking notes at the very back. And they're all clickable links, so you should be able to go right there, and we look forward to seeing you from that. I would like to open up the lines and see if anybody has any questions. Susan, now that you're back with us, I would like to also see if you've got anything to say that I may have missed or didn't elaborate on properly. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you first.
Sure. Well, thank you, and I hope everybody can hear me. I will talk loudly, which is not easy for me, but I will do it. And I really, you said everything beautifully, as though I don't know what else really to add, other than I would like to elaborate a bit on how why connects your biz guests or your clients or your market or whatever you want to call those that you serve. I think that Simon Sinek actually said it really well. He said, people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, he's great. And I really think that as the why guy, he's probably the one that started the big why question several years ago. You can actually go watch his TED Talk on YouTube. Just put in Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K, and I think it's called Starts with Why. He also has a website all about that and a book. But he's so right in saying that really people connect with you. They're actually attracted to you because of why you do what you do. And all of the messaging that you do in your marketing or in your elevator speech or your description of what your business is all about to those people who want to get that word out to needs to come from why you do what you do. Because that's what people will listen to, and that's what will attract exactly the right people who will gladly pay for the value you have to give them. And it kind of turns things inside out from the old school way of focusing on what to do and pushing that onto your guests. So that's really all I have to add to what you were saying. Everything else is right spot on. And I think the things that I want to share with people who are starting businesses or who are trying to grow their business is that it has to be fun. If it's not fun, I would say, why are you doing it?
Good point.
If it doesn't make you happy and it's not fun, then I would question, why are you doing it? I think that Richard Branson says in his manifesto or core value statement, he says, have fun. The money will follow. When you don't have fun, do something else. Or move on. I think that is really key. That's one reason why I was so attracted to Mama Red when we met. And even before we actually met, I was attracted to Mama Red through how she posted on the forums that we're on. Because it's fun. And I would rather not do a business if I'm not having fun. So that's about it from me. Are there questions from our group? Since I live in Silicon Valley. I live walking distance from Google, and I can't. My internet is down.
Well, you know what? It happens. And I thank you for saying that about being fun, because coming from the world in which I lived, which is, it's called work for a reason. You know, you're not supposed to have fun at work. It took me quite some time to get out of my corporate talk and put the real me, which is the Mama Red, which is the Beastie, which is the Mama Isms, out to where people could do it and risk somebody not liking it. Risk somebody saying, "Oh, that's not professional," or "I don't like that name," or whatever it may be. So thank you for that. I'm very grateful that I've had the opportunity to meet somebody with such a huge heart, and one of the calling her the co-creation queen is very fair. Believe me, it is very, very true.
I will say, living in Silicon Valley, living in Mountain View, where LinkedIn, Google, Intuit, all of them are based here. This is like the hub of Silicon Valley big corps, and a couple miles from Facebook and Evernote, and you name it, they're here. They have fun. Those big corporations are doing business in a totally different paradigm than it was even 10 years ago. Things have changed, and I think it's a change for good. And it's a change, they're serious about business in that they're focused on their bottom line, they're focused on productivity, they're focused on customer service and making their customers happy, but they're also focused on fun. And to me, that's a big shift that I'm all behind 110%. Having lived in this area for 39 years, we've been in the same home, and I've seen Silicon Valley go through an evolution. And so I think that this is really an exciting time to be an entrepreneur. So,
well, I think it's interesting because I will be 57 very soon, and I grew up in a world in which there was your corporate self, there was your business self, and that was this very stilted navy blue suit, proper type stuff. And I was always struggling to fit in, even then, because of the personality. And it is something that I wish for each of you listening, that you will choose the why that makes you smile, that makes you happy, that makes you feel like you're contributing. If you have any questions, you're welcome to unmute. If you are coming in from the computer, you click the phone symbol, and if it's not down, click call via internet and click your mic. If you are happy and know what you want to do next, I would love to hear about it. Please feel free to write me an email. And if there is anything that I can do to help you to take your next doable step, it would be my joy, my pleasure, and my honor. And I know Susan feels the same way. In the meantime, may you go and be blessed. Have an amazing, amazing time answering the right questions and serving those that you truly, truly enjoy serving. I thank you for being here. I thank you for being on the team that is sharing this, Susan. And I'm sorry it was, computer issues, and it is what it is. So have a good one. Of angels, and go with joy. Bye for now.